On R&B Reviews, two knights go after a damsel in distress in the new medieval comedy, Your Highness.
Will Rob and I agree, or are we gonna split again? Find out.
Everybody, thanks for choosing R&B Reviews for our review of Your Highness. I'm Rob.
And I'm Dave.
And the movie stars Danny McBride and James Franco as brother knights who are on a quest to find James Franco's bride-to-be who's been kidnapped by a wizard. Okay, personally, Dave, I don't know about you, but I thought this was a stupid movie because, there's only like two things I really liked about the movie. I thought it was nicely photographed, and I thought the costumes were very impressive, but to me, this movie, it just was not really all that funny. I mean, one problem I had with it was, like, for example, take the opening credits where they have pictures of the characters, but they have, like, I guess what you would call something similar to what they would use in school books where they would scribble dirty stuff all over it to me and all that. What really really took me out of the movie is I found characters in a medieval time settings talking like modern people to be a little bit weird. Like occasionally they'll say stuff like "fuck yeah," and there's a scene where the wizard, the evil wizard, I think is Balthasar or something like that. He says a lot. He calls people motherfuckers and all this other stuff. It just felt weird to me, and it just wasn't funny.
It was just that it's just supposed to be comical, and it was basically just a parody to like movies that are like this, the real bad medieval action movies. Basically, that's all they were trying to do here. I mean, it was nothing special. I mean, I liked the special effects myself. They were alright. They were but they were better than most movies I've seen like this. But yeah, it was basically just they were just trying to make fun of those type of movies. I think.
I don't think they were. I think they were trying to make just a plain medieval comedy, and it just didn't work. I mean, they had a good premise, but I think the execution of it was pretty bad. I mean, and I don't know about you, but I think the language just. It was like they were using it as a crutch. I mean, you can use swear words in a comedy like Bad Santa, or on a small occasion another medieval setting like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, or another parody like a Western parody like Blazing Saddles. You can use swear words, but it's got to have humor behind it. And this movie, I did not think had any humor behind it. It was like they were just saying swear words just to say them. It didn't really add anything to the characters. It didn't make it any funnier. You know, I felt like they were just using it as a crutch.
It's just how. What's his name is?
Who?
The guy that played Thaddeus.
Oh, Danny McBride. The
Danny McBride. Yeah, he always plays roles like that because even when he was on Southbound and Down, he would cuss a lot for no reason and whatnot, and that's how he always has been.
Well, I don't think that really matched this at all. I mean, I think. The film just needed, I think, sharper dialogue. And here's something I read about the movie. I understand that the movie was improvised, and I can tell, and that's not really a good way to go about it. The film needed some sharp, well-thought-out written dialogue. And there were times in the movies, it looked like there were some times where the actors were trying hard to come up with something to say sometimes. Like, I could tell sometimes they might be struggling, or there might be some inconsistencies.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the problem with improvising a movie is there's going to be inconsistencies. Scenes are going to run long. There's stuff that's going to be mentioned that's not mentioned again. And it kind of reminded me of an older, but a very different comedy called The Awful Truth, that was directed by Leo McCarey. He liked to improvise on the set a lot, like with his Laurel and Hardy films that he directed, but even though sometimes I think he adds scenes in that film that kind of run too long and they kind of feel like they get off the subject a little bit. I mean, it wasn't so much a problem here, but if you're going to improvise a movie, you need at least some good skills in keeping it together and not be so inconsistent.
I was sometimes worried that they were going to forget their lines. I was waiting for it, but they never did.
Well, yeah, that's because when they edit a movie in post, they can change all that. And this is something weird. Since I imagine there were a lot of different takes that weren't used in the movie, some of them I think ended up in the trailer than what was used in the final film. Like, there's a couple things that I noticed that they didn't exactly say that wasn't in the movies, but...
Yeah, the trailer did a good job of not spoiling anything, because actually the trailer looked a lot better than the movie itself.
Yes, so. I agree with you on that. That this movie looked funny, but the final movie itself was just a stupid piece of crap. I only laughed... I don't know, whenever I start watching a bad comedy, I start getting into this habit where I count how many times I laughed, and I laughed maybe like 8 times. out of the whole thing. And this is like what an hour and 40-minute movie or something like that.
And there was a lot, and a lot of things they said were going to happen never did. Like there was supposed to be a scene where Natalie Portman was going to be like totally nude and you could see like everything, and that never actually happened.
Yeah.
So it was they just played this movie up by talking about it, but half of it never ever turned out to be. So
yeah, good. I mean, was there anything? It sounds like you liked the movie more than I did. What was about this movie that you liked?
I like just the comedy sense of it, but then again, I agree with you. It was over the top with the swearing and all that, but I thought it was somewhat funny.
You know, this movie to me, it just wasn't all that funny. And what really disturbed me is there's a scene where they're visiting the wise wizard at the start of their quest. That scene was, to me, in bad taste. It was not funny at all. I thought that was kind of a messed up little sequence there, and especially with a lot of stuff in the newspapers going on about stuff going on right now in a similar fashion. I don't know what they were thinking why they thought that would be funny. What goes on in that scene is not funny. It's disturbing and is, I think, wrong. So.
Yeah, but it's basically, it just shows that comedy has basically worn itself to the thin where people depend on sex jokes and all that just to have a laugh. That's how I see it.
Well, not all comedies need to. I've seen some comedies recently where they don't really rely on sex jokes and they go for the much smarter tone of it. But I mean, this movie I cannot recommend. I'm gonna have to snuff it. This movie, it has a good premise, but it was badly executed. It wasn't really that funny, and it was just. It's just, to me, it's just a dumb movie. I can't recommend it. What about you?
I'm gonna say give it a mild rent it.
Rent it.
Yeah, mildly, because it was kind of funny and the special effects were pretty good, but as far as the other things, I agree with you that it was kind of corny too.
Well, I didn't say it was corny. I said it was a stupid movie and it wasn't that funny. It's not. This is not a corny movie. I think it's a dumb movie that's really devoid of laughs, in my opinion.
I thought some of it was funny, but for the most part it wasn't. But the special effects were what I most like, so I'm gonna give it a mild rent it.
Okay, all right. Well,
it's definitely not worth paying to see in theaters.
That we can agree with. This movie, don't pay to see in theaters. So, all right. So that's our take on the movie, Your Highness. We are split again, but it seems like a much closer split. I'm snuffing it. He says you can rent it. So
mildly.
But you can leave your comments about the movie, whether you've seen it or not, and what you thought of it in the video. So, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time on R&B Reviews.